Hey everyone, welcome to Play Hooky with me. My name is Roz, and in today's video I'm going to share how to make this quick and easy finger knit scarf. If you're looking for a last minute gift idea, this is a great one because most of the styles I'm sharing today only require one skein of yarn and less than 30 minutes of your time. Included in this video is the basic scarf pattern, an infinity scarf, a reversible scarf, a striped scarf, and finally how to add tassels. So 5 pattern styles in total. I've added timestamps along the progress line so you can jump straight to your point of interest, but be sure to check out the yarn details and guide before you get started. There are some tips in there that I really don't want you to miss. For this project, I'm using the Bernat Blanket Big. One skein weighs 300 grams and holds 32 yards. It is 100% polyester, which means that it is washer and dryer safe. Now for all the patterns that you see in the video today, you only need one skein of yarn. The only time you're going to need 2 is if you want to do a striped one. Of course, then you'll need to pick 2 colors that you want to use. And then I also strongly recommend that you grab a second skein if you want to do the tassels. Now you can get away with just one skein of yarn for those tassels, but I'll talk more about that when we get to that segment. The scarf that we're making today is about 8 inches wide and 75 inches long. You can go wider than that if you like. For this I started with a chain 4, but if you do want to go up to about 10 inches, then you'll be starting with a chain 5. This will give you a 10-inch width with about a 55-inch long scarf. For this pattern, I'm going quite wide with my loops. Typically, when I'm working on the finger knit blankets, I only make my loops about 1.5 to 2 inches, but I recommend that you go up a little higher with this because it's going to give better drape to your scarf. So to get started, we're going to create a slip knot and our first chain. With the tail in your hand, wrap it around your fingers, pull the yarn through the center, and tighten. This is going to form your very first loop. We're going to do these about 3 inches wide. We want it to be quite wide to keep a nice straight edge. That's about right. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now for our first row, we're just going to form loops within loops. This is what we're going to do for the entire scarf. Just with that very first loop, pull your yarn through, and again make your loops about 3 inches high. This is going to make it looser and more lofty, which will give your scarf a lot of drape. 2, 3, and right there near the knot there is your 4th one. Okay, double check you have your 4 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4. You're ready for the next row. Just pull your yarn through that last loop that you made and continue on across. And this is all you're going to do all the way until you've completed your scarf. That's it. One quick tip here, if you're finding that this is pulling too tight on you, that just means you need to go back and make that initial chain a little bit larger. And then that will straighten right back out for you. I recommend that you roll this as you work. This will come in handy, especially if you want to do an infinity scarf at the end. Another quick tip here, if this kind of gets a little tangled on you, just make sure that that's still forming a nice loop before you continue on. Just keep going as far as you can go if you're trying to use your whole skein or if you've reached the length that you want to make your scarf. And then all you're going to do to complete your scarf is working towards the tail. It doesn't matter which side it finishes on. You're just going to work the loops into each other. So holding the final one in your hand, take the one next to it and feed it through. Continue this all the way across. And then take your tail and feed it into that very final loop there. If you made the loops too small and this is too tight, just go back and make your loops a little bit wider. To make your infinity scarf, it's really easy to do. If you've been rolling as you go, this makes it very easy to make sure that things haven't gotten twisted. And then you have the back of your work facing you still. Just pull that up Okay, and then this way you know that you've got the right sides facing each other. At this point, all you're going to do is you're going to take your tail and you're going to be weaving the tail through the final loop and then into the loop at the beginning here. What I would recommend you do though before you get started on that is make sure that these are quite small. Go back if you need to, just like I'm going to here, and make these tinier than what you were working with before. I like to make these about 1 inch high, just enough to be able to thread it through. This is going to help you get a tighter join. So I'm going about 1 inch, or whatever you can do without it falling out on you. Now at this point, I'm going to take my tail and go through that first loop there. And then come over here and join to the other side. Play with this a little bit. You want to do a really nice join here. I'm going to go through there just to give it a little bit more substance. That should be a nice join there. What you can do is you can just skip over and go into the next loop, just making sure the sides match. But I like to go into the little gaps as well to make sure that we don't have any obvious gaps when we're finished. And see, that gives a really nice seam. To create a reversible scarf pattern, we're going to be creating knits and purls for both sides. To do this, we just need to flip our work with every row. So begin as you normally would. Create your slip knot and your first chain 4 or 5. I'm just going to do 4 for this demonstration. We're just going to form our first initial loops just like we normally would. This is going to create the effect of a knit stitch. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's your first row completed. So at this point, flip your work. And now we're just going to knit again. So pulling the yarn to the back. Create a knit stitch. Flip. This is a little fiddly, but all you want to do is just take that working yarn and pull it to the back to form a knit stitch, just like normal. You're just doing the same thing, you're just flipping every time you finish a row. Flip. And as you can see, you're starting to get a knit and purl effect. Knit, purl, knit, purl. And the same on the other side. Knit, purl, knit, purl. Continue doing this until you reach the length of the scarf that you're making, and then you're just going to finish as you normally would, either making your cast off for a regular scarf or binding off for an infinity scarf. To create a striped scarf, you're going to begin as normal, creating your foundation chain. So creating your slip knot, chain 4 or 5, whatever you've decided on. Once you have your foundation chain ready, go ahead and do your first row in the same color. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now you're ready to switch colors. Because we have the foundation chain the same color as the first row of loops, that's going to count as our first 2 rows of our scarf. So from here on out though, you're just always going to be working 2 rows with 1 color. So bringing in your second color, create a loop. Now don't worry, we're not going to have to snip yarn to continue on with this. This is the only time you're going to have these many tails. From here on out, we're just going to be continuing and carrying the yarn. Okay, continue on forming your loops. Do 2 rows with the same color. It's time to bring in the next color. So we're just going to carry the yarn up and through those loops. So I'm keeping the yarn in front of the previous color. That's going to help trap it later. Just pull and form your loops as you normally do for 2 rows. We're back to the next color. Just pull it forward. That way it'll catch later. And you're just going to continue doing this all the way until you reach the top. Then just continue on with your pattern as normal, working it up and then finishing with either the regular cast off or the infinity scarf option. To make the tassels, it's really easy to do. The difficult part is gauging how much yarn you need for this. And this is why I recommend that you get 2 skeins, just so you have plenty of yarn to work with. However, you can do a tasseled scarf if you work with a chain 4. I would recommend that you reserve 3 yards of yarn. This will give you 10 5-inch long tassels. So if you're working my pattern as you see it in the video with the chain 4, go ahead and cut 10 strands of yarn at 10 inches wide each. Go ahead and choose 5 spots on the edge of your scarf. Fold your yarn, and now you're going to work in the front, and you're going to feed the loop from front to back. Take your tails, feed them into the loop, and pull. What this is going to do is it's going to give you a nice little band in the front with your tails in behind. When I did mine, I worked on the ends first, then the middle, and then the 2 in between. This particular yarn doesn't fray too much, but if you have any concerns that this is going to keep fraying on you or pulling off, then I would recommend that you just dab the ends with a little bit of fray check or some sort of fabric glue. When it's time to weave in the ends, I try to keep this as uncomplicated as possible. I just try to find a place that looks inconspicuous that I can weave it in without it being too noticeable. So it can either be the edge here or up the side, whatever looks the best. And then for added assurance, I go ahead and I stitch it in with a needle and thread. I double strand the thread here to make it a little bit more durable. And I just go in and just make a tie. The nice thing about this yarn is that it hides the thread very well. And then I either tuck in the little tail there or I snip it.